The Cameroon People's Democratic Movement celebrated 40 years of their anniversary this week, ever since they changed from the CNU in 1985 to the CPDM a few years after they had to enjoy the one-party system. But in the 90s, they had to begin to battle with the different political parties that came into the political scene in Cameroon. 4 decades after, the party is still very standing tall and still struggling to consolidate glaring failures that the CPDM needs to ameliorate upon. Plus, a day after the celebrations, there were key appointments into the Central Committee of the ruling party. And today we are asking the question, how strategic are these appointments in relation to the upcoming 2025 presidential election? You are watching 360 Degrees, and we shall be with you for the next 1 hour. Yaoundé, and today we have 4 gentlemen in the studio to be able to assess the 40 years of the ruling party, the CPDM. Many have said it has all been a failure. Many have said there have been some average achievements. Some have said that there is a lot of achievement within the 40 years. The people on set today will have their views, as well as yours that will be watching. You shall have the SMS or WhatsApp on the number that you shall have on your screen when we shall begin the discussions proper. Let us come back to welcome my far right, where I have Dr. Isidore Parcom. He's been here before, and he's here today again to give his inputs on this very important topic.
Good afternoon, televiewers, and good afternoon, co-panelists. I'm naturally happy to be here, hoping that we will have an incubative moment to discuss pertinent issues with regard to the life of our community. Yeah,
just to remind you that Dr. Isidore is a political analyst. He doesn't have a political party. He is a militant of the ruling party, and he doubles as one of those who communicates for the party. He has been here several times. He's not a new face. We are happy that you always honor our call when we put it across. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hyson. It's a great joy for me to be here. Especially the Canal who have given us this opportunity to share what we have been in since for 40 years. And it is also an opportunity to stop and see. 40 years is not 40 days. What went right? Because we have 15 minutes. Let's just...
You as well. Let me go to my far left. Publisher of...
Thank you, Hyson. It's a great pleasure. It's an honor for me to share the panel with these honorable gentlemen. Let me also extend my greetings to our televiewers, those who are actually watching us from across the country. It's a pleasure to contribute equally to the roads that we covered so far and what is still to be done. It's a pleasure, and I hope the discussion is going to be fruitful.
Of course, it's going to be fruitful. Here was the SDF, and we are fortunate today to have Lionel Kugaba, who is here with us. He is an SDF. You're welcome.
Thank you, Hyson. Good afternoon to all my co-panelists. Good afternoon to our viewers. It's always a pleasure to be on the 360 Degrees panel to discuss issues concerning our country. I am very delighted to be here today to discuss about a political party that has been and to tell and to bring to the timeline or to tell Cameroonians how the 40 years has been a failure.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, you will permit, let us go back to that very takeoff point of the CPDM, changing from the CNU to the CPDM, and till today, 4 decades after. Let's have this element done for us by Ate Bonaventure.
Their regime led to some key reforms that included the change of party name from the Cameroon National Union to the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, a transition that was received with mixed feelings.
Some who were researchers at that moment get his very first orient were to say things will never be the same again.
That was thus an occasion for President Paul Biya to lay the groundwork for the implementation of his zeal to resolutely lead Cameroon
The word democracy was very common one at that period. The word freedom, these words were there. Their expression was not the same.
Not all party members bought the idea of a new party name, as some militants expressed skepticism and disapproval. President Biya later explained that the name CPDM was not a mistake, adding that it is an assembly of all citizens who are free to express their opinion and contribute to nation building.
You're welcome back. Gentlemen, let me give the pride of place to Full Godfrey, who was so much involved in the celebrations. Mr. Full, how were the celebrations?
You were also you were involved, not celebration. You know, 24th March 1985, 24th March 2000, something to be celebrated. And as the anniversary came in a special and particular moment, okay. Especially this moment where we are going in for the presidential election, and that is why you see the theme of this year was "Let us all stand ready behind President Paul Biya to take up the challenge and clear, transparent, and unambiguous victory for CPDM candidate in the presidential electoralization of the militants and national and international." Okay. And we sing the same song because, you know, this party for 40 years is true, has not only had good, that's life. Life is made up of positive from it. And you see that CPDM is a party that is open. Okay. Open to criticism, okay. Open to obstacles, and those are the obstacles they have been struggling to manage and to stay up to this moment, okay. These 40 years.
Okay, thank you so much. Doc, your view on the commemoration?
Yes, I followed the 40 years anniversary of President Paul Biya of CPDM, and I was so much amused because 40 years down the line, they've succeeded to liberalize the economy, whereby people, entrepreneurs can carry out their activities so well. And 40 years is an age of maturity where we can stop and look beyond what we have done so far. You know, they started with greater ambition. Yeah. They love from greater ambition to greater achievement, from greater achievement to greater realization. And we've seen exactly what they've realized. Okay. Because when you move around the town, you see all the bad nature of the road, you see dustbin everywhere. That is the realization they've done. So I think that they need to recede, because CPDM, at the age of maturity, should have done better than what they have done so far. Okay. That is my observation for the CPDM.
Okay. Kabiru, with the eyes of the reporter, yeah. How's your observation? How did you observe the commemoration nationwide? Yeah,
the commemoration actually went quite all right. Okay. As far as CPDM militants concerned, the way they mobilized themselves to commemorate this important event in the life of their party. Nonetheless, I, as a reporter, you know, I discussed with some Cameroonians on the view, on the opinion. 75% of them actually gave me negative feedback. Okay. I don't. Nowadays, as a doctor said, the economy is crumbling. People are struggling to get jobs because the unemployment rate in a disastrous situation with teachers striking day in, day out. So I think this is, in a nutshell, the image that we have, or the image that is associated to the CPDM balance sheet after 40 years in power. So I think that is what I can say about that.
Okay, Lionel, were you
invited? But even if I was invited, I could not attend such.
It's a simple invitation. Why would you reject it?
I could not attend such an event because Cameroonians saw their lives buried since 24th of March 1985, which they have not realized. When you look at all the sectors of life in Cameroon, you see the lapses that are into those sectors. You can understand that a group, and they are managing the way they want to do. When you look at the economy, when Biya was taking over power in 1982, you can compare the economy to now. When you look at the state of corruption, you can compare how the country has become corrupted. Where few hospitals have been built by him, but the management and the management of the hospitals are not there. When you look at the educational system has become very porous in such a way that when you see a child that has advanced levels today, you ask yourself if that child has been to school for 14 years. Because during our days, when you had first school, you could be a teacher, you could teach in a primary school. But today, students having advanced level are even unable to teach their younger ones in class 2, class 3 back at home. How come the educational system of a country like Cameroon is that porous? When you look at the political scene, the CPDM regime did everything to divide Cameroonians. Cameroonians were living together and they had a very good harmonious. Since CPDM came up, they came up with the rules of dividing and ruling. And these rules have made things to come up like tribalism. When you look at them, you look at the number of ministers and former ministers of the management of road network in Cameroon. Yeah. When Mr. Biya was coming to power, you see the network that we had, how many kilometers were there, and how many is there today. We have a national council that is being put in place, that was put in place in order to take care of the road network in Cameroon. But you cannot. Today, when I look at Mora Dabanga, you can understand what it takes. Yeah. Not to talk of our remote areas in the northwest and southwest. These are, when you just go there, things are there. Okay. People cannot be celebrating 40 years when Cameroonians are in misery, when people are dying, when soldiers are dying in the north because of the stupidity of a government that has stayed overdue and overstayed for 40 years.
How can you blame the government for that?
Yes, of course. This is, managing crisis is a tact. And if you don't have the diplomacy in order to manage crisis, people will pay for their lives. That's why Boko Haram today, they can still kill our soldiers at the borders. Well, that's why in the northwest, we cannot count how many soldiers have been killed over there. We cannot count how many innocent people have been killed. And also, Mr. Chair.
Godfrey, when you look at the celebrations, almost all gatherings that I viewed, there was a fundamental message, a basic message for Biya to be the next candidate.
You see, you were not the only one, because I saw credible journalists, those who are partial, who are those who were talking about 85, but that would not withstand the fact that due to the text of our party, he stands as our presidential candidate. You know, in our party, we believe in laws, because after law is disorder.
That's why
after law is disorder, and that is why please respect me.
Please, I will give you time to talk.
That's why you won't be able to hold a congress.
When somebody is called a journalist who have been in a field to cover, but everything that he sees was negative, and he has a platform like this one to express, you know, that one, you see, and they can say. And as I said earlier, you rely only on positive, you will never grow.
Okay.
So us to grow. And exactly that there.
Yes, let me come back to my question. How genuine are the calls for President Biya to be candidate in 2025 election?
You know, I'm a researcher, Mr. Hyson. And you know, most of the time, when I see me, or you want me to say it was not genuine, the same people, there were millions of them. There were millions of them, and you interview them and ask them how genuine what you are saying is true. Because
class of people.
As from 15 to the last age, you know, we educate our militants. Please. And when you hear our militants saying something, know that he is not like these people sometimes who will sit and say what they think contrary.
Okay. Doc, when you look at the celebrations, I want us to first remain on the celebrations. Do you have the impression that the militants are celebrating Paul Biya, or they are celebrating the achievements of their party?
I think the militants, they are not celebrating Paul Biya. They are celebrating. Once you are in politics, you have an objective to attain. And if they were to celebrate Paul Biya,
we get to that.
As why this happened, why they were not genuine, because there were some people with mixed feelings. So for me, I think CPDM at 40, as I said, is an age of
with you. Is there nothing, because you sound so negative on the fact that they are celebrating, is there nothing for them to celebrate?
Of course, I earlier started here that the economy is liberalized. Okay. I don't sound so negative on that. Okay. The economy is liberalized because we carry out our daily businesses freely, and then we have freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of worship, and so on. It is thanks to multipartyism.
I think Mr. Full will be happy with you for that. Yeah. Yes, Kabiru, 4 decades. What are the major strides that you can maybe underline as the major strides of the CPDM within the 4 decades?
I think Dr. and Mr. Full, they have already started highlighting about 80 scene, freedom, because you have sometimes reasons that achieved something in some sectors like politics, economy, but there is still a lot that is new per se, because they inherited a political new with President Amadu, kind of new with the CPDM is the name. In the Congress, one of the resolutions is that, and unfortunately, this the nominal program or the agenda of the party.
Could you describe the relationship?
I would say that the SDF will be clocking 35 as well this year.
Yes. In
May 2025. And a lot of elections, which was true.
Did you gather the proofs?
All the proofs are there.
Okay.
So, and Mr. Godfrey cannot say no to that. He knows. Okay. It's okay. You can see him saying yes. So, time Cameroonians kick out promises without being kept to be a place to be. Within town. And this individual is not an entrepreneur. Can we be in a regime? Can we be in a country where we look at few countries around us send food to Rwanda? We used to send lawyers to go and defend when they had their crisis over there. Today, our students are obliged to go and study law and bar school in Rwanda and come back here.
Yes.
Ethiopia, where they wanted to insult you before, that you don't eat or you are very tiny, they will say, look at this Ethiopian, right? Yeah. But now, these are countries that have been developed because the citizens love their country. I want to say, during these celebrations, we noticed something that was synchronized.
Okay.
And this synchronization is not just because, you know, their interest is to call that he should stand in Katia, call your grand. Have there ever been even president of a Njangi group? Those that have been into positions on the basis, we know what it takes. Another, to watch on the projects that have been launched. Mr. Chair, if we start now, I will be capable to cite about 30 structures were employed, some are deserted, some are dead. When you pass, after 40 years, retirees are still standing in front of the Ministry of Finance. We can be in Douala.
I'm
coming to you.
Maybe a medical doctor, you take a hip.
That permits you to protect life. It's very clear. That's clear. Will you protect lives when you don't have the necessary tools, the necessary environment?
Suggesting that medical experts to appeal to their conscience and do what they are supposed to do as
I think